And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. On today's episode, I want to do two big things in this video. I want to do first the common misconceptions about sealed modern Pokemon product, and we'll talk about vintage sealed, resealed product too. But I really want to just talk about like some of the common misconceptions there, and then we're also just going to talk about the common debate of PSA 8s, PSA 9s, PSA 10s. Which of those cards really should have truer inherent value versus those that shouldn't? So I guess the first thing would be pretty much just there's a huge misconception when it comes to resealed product. And the reason this video came to be is because I had a conversation just yesterday with a very large Pokemon seller. And the thing he was telling me was that he's been lately getting a lot of returns from people, from like, and people are accusing him of resealing crazy things like Rapidash boxes and things that no one would ever spend the time to reseal. And this is a seller on eBay who's, I'm going to tell you right now, he's one of the largest sellers on eBay. He's actually going to be on this channel in the future. I'm not going to say the name yet, but trust me, most, if not all of you guys have heard of him, and he will be on this channel. And I'm actually going to do the interview hopefully live in his warehouse. So we're just going to be able to see how much product he really has. And as of right now, I can tell you it is almost like a science fiction amount of product. It is crazy. But anyways, the fact that somebody like him who has, a feedback score in the hundreds of thousands has some people return products like Rapidash V boxes saying that these products are resealed is just a huge misconception that a lot of people are having, and something we really need to kind of talk about on this channel, because I feel maybe just slightly at fault because some of the videos I have made in the past when I've talked about resealed product or things you need to look out for anytime you're buying products, sealed stuff like that, I think I need to first just say when I make those type of videos, they're more just a warning type of video, but they're really like pushed a little bit more towards the vintage type of product and not so much like this super modern stuff. And then the second thing I always try to express is it's not just about buying product from reputable sources that you should be worried about. It's really, when I'm talking about resealed modern product, I'm only talking about very small, like eBay sellers, people that might have like just less than 100 feedback, maybe 100 feedback, somewhere's within that range, not somebody who has hundreds of thousands worth of feedback. Those are not the people I'm talking about. And the reason why I say that is those more reputable sellers, people that, ship a ton of modern product, just the time aspect it would take these guys to open up product, search packs, reseal packs, and especially when some of these real large sellers, especially when it comes to sealed modern product and just have absolutely crazy distributor agreements, they don't even sell singles anyway. So I think there is a little bit of misconception going on in the hobby, like I said, with people just thinking every single product they get is resealed. When somebody buys uh, Battle Styles, ETB, and they think it's resealed, like that's not really what I'm talking about when I'm talking about looking out for resealed product. What I'm talking about is looking out for like vintage product, because you got to keep in mind to search one vintage booster pack that, maybe sells for between, say, $200. Some vintage packs sell above $1,000. So it would make sense for somebody to maybe spend a little bit of time to search through one of those packs and then reseal that, or maybe some really like high-end booster boxes. And I think like the perfect example is that resealed uh, first edition booster box that Mr. $30,000 Bulbasaur himself tried to sell to the dumb money guys. Like, yes, those are the type of products you should, spend a lot of time, do your due diligence, make sure they're not resealed. But I don't want people to go out there and pick up some super modern product and then instantly think it's resealed. So that's really just what I want to get out at the beginning of this video. And like I said, the reason why I want to talk about resealed product is because I'm afraid that some of the videos I've made in the past maybe, made people think a little bit too hard about their modern product. And that's not really what I'm talking about. it really just boils down to one simple thing I gotta say. Just buy from reputable sources. If the person you're buying from is in fact a reputable source, you will be fine. Okay, then the second thing I want to talk about in this video is lately I've been seeing actually more and more people talking about, buying PSA 9s versus PSA 10s, and then some people slipping in PSA 8s into the conversation. And what they're pretty much saying is PSA 9s look very similar to PSA 10s. Obviously, the price points you can buy PSA 9s at are much lower, and that everybody buying PSA 10s are pretty much just overpaying. And I think this is actually a little easier of a conversation than some people are putting on. And I'm going to tell you just my personal side and my personal opinion when it comes to a PSA 9 versus a PSA 10. Listen, I do buy some PSA 9s. I own a lot in my collection. I think as recently as last live stream, I showed you guys two PSA 9s, one hollow, one reverse hollow of a card that I recently bought. So I'm not against PSA 9s, and really, I'm not really against PSA 8s. But you need to understand there is huge disparities when it comes to PSA 9s, PSA 10s for a lot of different reasons. And the big one being for the more vintage stuff, the thought process behind PSA 10s as a collector, and this is from my point of view, is that PSA 10 is going to be truly rare and scarce from a condition aspect. And the reason why, when it comes to more vintage stuff at a PSA 10 level as a collector, the chances of a lot of these cards being open just gets less and less as time goes by, as more packs are open. The population of these really truly gem mint 10 quality type cards is just going to continue to get less and less. But the PSA 9s, the PSA 8s, those are the type of cards that could more likely than not still exist in a lot of people's binders collections, because it doesn't really take too much handling of a card for it to go from a PSA 10 to a PSA 9. It could be as simple as one corner ding, like very simple things, putting it into a binder, handling that card without penny sleeves, having it rub against other cards, especially if it's a hollow cards like that. So the disparity quickly drops fast when you go from a PSA 10 to PSA 9. So it really does boil down to just more of that condition rarity type stuff. And when people get to a higher level of collecting in this hobby, they're going to really want to have their collection be at the top of the mountain and be the best collection they can possibly have. And the only way to really do that in the very long term of the hobby, and this could be days, weeks, years for some people, to really maximize their collection. And at the very end, no matter how long they own these cards for, eventually, in order to have their true master set, they're going to want to have PSA 10s. And trust me, not everybody, their end goal is not to have master sets in PSA 10. But for the higher end of collector, that will be the end goal. And when they're picking up cards and they're having cards in their collection, they're going to want those cards to eventually be the best condition possible. And in today's modern market, those cards are really PSA 10s. And yes, there are obviously always, pristine 10s or Beckett Black Label 10s, or a CGC Perfect 10, those really high-end cards. But I'll promise you right now, the chances of seeing a flood of Beckett Black Labels or PSA Perfect 10s is slim to none. It might as well be, less than a half of 1% chance. It is such a low percentage that we're going to see these really high end. So what people are really going to have to go for is that PSA 10 population. And really, when it comes to a lot of vintage cards, yeah, it pretty much boils down to is there's just never going to be a lot of PSA 10s for a lot of cards. And keep in mind, when you talk about PSA 10s, you could take out a lot of just handling errors too. PSA 10s can just, obviously, you guys all know, can just be factory issues, print lines, misalignment issues, stuff like that, things that are completely out of your control as a collector. And that's where some of the luck comes into Pokemon. And when I say, is Pokemon some luck? Yes. When you open a pack and you handle those cards perfectly and you're not, mishandling or shuffling them around or anything, is very obvious and very apparent to most of you guys, if not all of you guys, that small, pack errors can happen where there's a little ding corner and that card will not get a PSA 10. So I just want to talk about that because I have been seeing a lot of people saying, well, everybody should just buy PSA 9s because they're so much cheaper. And I think while I understand that thought process, it is very short sighted for the long term of a hobby. And for anybody really trying to push through that narrative that PSA 9s are equal to PSA 10s, and sure, you can go through stories of people cracking PSA 9s, resubmitting them to PSA 10s, and getting 10s. Yes, obviously, you can go through those stories, but I'm just telling you from all my experience, there is never going to be a time ever, and you could quote me on this, that somebody will ever across the board value PSA 9s the same as PSA 10s. It will never happen. So if you want to go after that route, and because it definitely is the more affordable route, I'm not going to tell you not to do that if that is what you can afford. But I just want you to understand that eventually, given enough time, if you do complete your master set in PSA 8, PSA 9, you will probably more likely than not want to upgrade it at some point to the higher grade, that PSA 10. And that some point, like I said, could be years down the road if you actually stick with this hobby. And I think that's something a lot of people really struggle. They struggle to get over that hurdle and that thought process of, well, years from now, I don't know where I'm going to be in this hobby in years from now. And if that's the case, if you don't see yourself sticking around in this hobby for the next 5 to 10 years, then yeah, go ahead, collect the lower grades. But also remember, at whatever point you do decide to sell those cards back into the market and try to, get gains or whatever, or even break even depending on the cards you bought. If you did happen to buy some of these cards on the high end, keep in mind that you're never going to get PSA 10 prices. And I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. They look at the condition of some of their 9s and they're almost blinded. They don't actually see the true flaws. And the more PSA 9s you handle versus PSA 10s, you will really start to notice huge apparent issues with PSA 9s. And of course, that's not across the board. There are a lot of 10s that have a lot of issues, but the more cards you hold, the more PSA 10s you actually do compared to 9s in the long term of the hobby, you will get much more familiar at recognizing the difference in grades. So that's just something I want to talk about because, like I said, I've seen a lot of people having this conversation recently. And yeah, so anyways, today's video, I am trying to stay back a little bit from the camera. I have seen some people write some comments saying that I'm too close to the camera, so hopefully this is far enough. Let me know in the chat. And if anybody does think I'm too close to the channel, you're more than welcome to subscribe to the channel, and you could put a comment in the chat. All you got to do is be subscribed for 1 minute, and you could right away. So I think that person out there knows who he is, and I don't know why he doesn't want to just hit the subscribe button, but Doug, you're more than welcome to join the channel. But anyway, so instead of reading the chat like I normally would on my computer and getting super close, I'm going to take some constructive criticism. I'm going to try to look back a little bit and read the chat on my phone. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces. Grand Party Pokemon. Andrew, good to see you. John, good to see you. John says, I have one collection category I'm collecting in 10s because it's affordable enough as a category right now. Then I have another collecting category I'm collecting in 9 because it's too expensive. And you're right. And I think something that is going to take people a little bit of time to really get to. And the only reason I say it's going to take a little bit of time is because I'm seeing buying pressure in a lot of these modern cards still at PSA 9 prices. And the reason why I say I'm seeing a lot of buying pressure at PSA 9 prices is when you look at like I've talked about it before, so we'll mention it again. Like the Charizard from Darkness Ablaze at PSA 9, still selling over $100. That card in the long term is going to be graded to the floor. So when you're going to look at a modern card like that, you probably will want to pick up 10s because given enough time, a card like that, that's going to have graded populations in could be some of the highest grading populations we have ever seen for a card. It could be very likely that when that very last Darkness Ablaze Charizard is graded, whether it's 5 or 10 years from now or 20 years from now, whenever that very last Darkness Ablaze VMAX Charizard gets graded, we can see PSA 10 populations in the 20,000s, 30,000s. It could be like a almost preposterous amount of graded cards. So if you, in the long term of this hobby, if you're going to have that many PSA 10s of a card, all the other grades are going to be more or less just worthless. There's going to be nobody out there still wanting to pick up lower grades of these ultra modern cards. So I want you guys just keep that in the back of your head, that if you're going after lower grade modern cards, keep in mind right now PSA is still not low enough to make a lot of cards for modern cards worth to be graded, but we're already starting to see PSA kind of hold true to their words, meaning they're continuing to drop their grading prices. And recently, we just saw PSA announce that they're going to reopen their regular tier submission for $100 a card. And I know personally now, I do have a couple cards that are worth it to be graded in that $100 tier. Like, I'm not going to name all of them, but I'll give you an example of a super modern card that I've recently acquired that I could look at the price point of grading at $100, like uh, the Japanese stamp promos. You get two in the pack, you get the Pikachu and you get the Cramorant. The Pikachu at $100 to be graded, probably be worth it. And what am I doing? I try to give you guys a little bit of an understanding of what my thought process is. A card like that, I'm like, I could grade both that Pikachu and that Cramorant. Cost me $200 to grade. It's more likely than not that I can sell both those cards, because I'll tell you right now, the condition of those cards, from what I can tell, in my opinion, are definitely gem mint quality. Now, is it going to be across the board for every single one of those products going to be gem mint 10? No, but I'm not sending that card to CGC and get it denied. I'm going to send that card to PSA, and I'm going to send it as soon as that $100 tier opens. Now, in the very short term, do I expect to get a decent return on that card? Yes. In the long term, I'm not really sure where that card's going to wind up, but my plan is very simple. I plan to send both those cards away, get them back as fast as I can at that $100 grading, and then I'm just going to sell them on the market. The day they come back to me in the mail will be the same day that they get listed. So my thought process is, if I can make the money back from these cards, I'm literally just going to buy another one and keep whatever profit I have, and then just buy another one of those products to replace the one that I cracked open and sold those cards away for grading. Now, don't get me wrong, those Japanese stamp boxes, they've creeped up a lot. I looked very recently to see what those boxes are selling for. They're selling pretty strong around the $250 mark. So they're not cheap anymore. There was like a very small window of time they were selling between $100 and $150, but that happened really, really fast. So just keep that in mind. But that's just like one small example of a card that I think is worth it to be graded at $100 tier as a more short-term play. Now, can those cards potentially, in the long term, play out very similar to like some of the Scream promos we saw? Because you think about Scream promos, and yes, the Mimikyu obviously was a just much harder card to find, but the Pikachu, being a Pikachu, still is selling at a very strong premium. So I put those cards sort of in the same type of tier, very similar. I obviously not similar releases, but it's a very similar feeling I get for both those cards, that those stamp promo Japanese cards will have some sort of trajectory like the Scream promos. But you got to keep in mind, those Scream promos at release were actually way cheaper, price comparison to what we're seeing going on with these Japanese stamp boxes. But like I said, that's just one small example. So I see um, Basic Trainer in the chat. I'm just curious if uh, Basic Trainer ended up picking up some of the Leonhardt Pop Shop tickets. So let me know down in the chat. I know you were waiting to see. Oh, wait. I just read down. Basic Trainer said, Poke Knowledge, I'll be seeing you in Dallas next month. I picked up my Pearl VIP package yesterday after refreshing for 45 minutes. Hopefully I get to open an Evolutions pack. Can't wait. Hey, Basic Trainer, I'm very excited to meet you down in Texas, and I'm really happy for you, and it's gonna be a fun time. So it's funny that I was asking that and you already wrote the question. So Australian Blaster says, "Hey man, do you know if the old e-reader series value pack boosters contain 3 blisters or boosters? The one with Dragon, Sandstorm, and Ruby Sapphire, not the 10's." Australian Blastoise, I'm not sure. I really don't know. To my knowledge, I have never seen a full like 3-pack blister of like EX Dragon or Sandstorm. I don't think they exist. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think real hard. I can think of like a lot of the e-reader type of packs had 3 packs in it, but they were never the same set. Like it would be, you know, 2 Dragon Frontiers or 1 Crystal Guardians, or like a Holland's Phantoms, Crystal Guardians, and a Dragon Frontiers. It would always be separated. I don't remember it being 3 of the same, all the way up to even like Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I can't think of like 3 of the same pack. Like, I don't know. Diamond and Pearl, same. Diamond and Pearl, the Pikachu was Diamond and, oh wait, no, that's Heart Gold, Soul Silver. So Heart Gold, Soul Silver, promo number 3 is the Pikachu. That came in a 3-pack blister. But I don't remember that 3-pack blister being just one Heart Gold, Soul Silver set. I think it was different sets. So honestly, that's a good question. I do not have the answer, is when 3 of the same set, 3 packs from the same set went in the same sealed blister. I'm sure there's probably somebody in the chat that maybe knows the answer to that, but I'm not sure. So, but that is a good question. What's your feeling on PSA not graded metal Zards anymore? Should they walk that back? That's a good question. So with the metal Zards, who knows? Like, it was a very surprising thing for them to stop grading them. And I did see a little bit of the damage that was happening. And it was weird too, because the damage that appeared to be happening looked like it happened like a while after that card had already been encased, graded, and sent back to people. So I think it's just going to wind up pretty much, does PSA figure out whatever is going wrong with that, grading process? If they end up fixing whatever the issue is and start grading these Charizards again in the future, then I don't think it's going to be a problem. What I think is going to happen is a lot of people are FOMOing right now, picking up those PSA 10s, because they do believe that for whatever reason, PSA is not going to grade them again. But you got to keep in mind that CGC is still grading metal Charizards. And to my understanding, there's been no issues with their grading process. So from what I can tell really early on, and from the few videos I've watched and people I've heard talk about it, it does appear that those metal Zards are not actually being damaged during the encasing process. Like, they're not getting caught or anything. It looks like those cards, it's something to do with the sonic welding process, from the sounds, however it's vibrating, like the actual paint or the gold or whatever is around the borders of those cards, there's something happening to it. But with that said, I do believe PSA is eventually going to figure out what's going on, and we will see them accept those cards again. And I talked about it a couple videos back. It's just very strange that PSA did decide to send back all those cards that were already there waiting for them to be graded. And like TCA Gaming had a bunch of those cards sent back to them. So let's see. YCW said, can you look at PSA slabs and tell me there is a PSA logo on the bottom right, please? And also, how many Charizard hidden fates will there be? So to answer your question, yes. PSA slab in the bottom right does have that little PSA logo in it. And you could actually, if you put your finger on it, you can feel that logo. So if you're worried that your PSA slab is fake or not, yeah, there definitely will be a logo on that bottom right-hand corner. What was the second part of your question? And how many Charizard hidden fates will there be? there will be a lot. And the reason why there will be a lot is because there's a lot of people that are sitting on hidden fates, and a lot of hidden fates that will be opened in the future. Now, I can't tell you when the last Hidden Fates Charizard will be opened up, but it's going to be a long time. And we'll see Hidden Fates Charizards continue to roll into PSA from now until, a decade. It's going to be a long time. And especially when you think about what the real backlog is, that is definitely one of the cards that really comes to mind as being a card that was super worth it to be graded, super high return. I know PSA for a lot of their tiers are back to around like January, February time. So I would say that a very large majority of those cards waiting to be graded are Hidden Fates cards. So final population for those cards could be crazy. Now, in the very short term, like I wouldn't be buying Hidden Fates Charizards at all. I wouldn't even really be considering buying raw Hidden Fates Charizards with the intention to grade those in the future. Like I'd be very worried about a card like that where really we do not know where the populations are going to wind up. So, so Rock Pokemon said he'll also be in Dallas, Texas at Leonhardt's Pop Shop Basic Trainer. So the three of us can all get together, maybe have a beer. Now, I still haven't heard. So when Leonhardt had made his very first video talking about the Pop Shop, he did say that he was hoping to have a beer garden there in the VIP adult section. If that does end up being true and comes, like to actually be. And if that's the case, that'll be a fun time. Now, I want to know, I have asked this question in the past, but now that I have both Rock Pokemon and Basic Trainer in here, I'd be curious which packs you guys would like to open because you'll actually be there. I talked about it in my last video. I did try the brainstorm a little bit, and I said, what if obviously, we're probably all going to wind up with like base set 2 or maybe jungle or maybe fossil packs. That's unlimited. That's more likely than not going to be the packs we're going to wind up with. But in my perfect scenario, what's the pack I would like to open? And I was thinking probably Dragon Frontiers because, yes, the chance of pulling Gold Star next to none. But with that said, if I was going to pull Gold Star live on the stream, I would probably want to pull, the Gold Star Charizard or even the Gold Star Mew, but really the Gold Star Charizard, because when you talk about like a card you will probably never get a chance to pull. And if to do that on such a large scale like that, talk about living in the history of Pokemon forever. That would be one of those cards that people would talk about forever. They would always talk about like a Gold Star Charizard being pulled at Leonhardt's Prop Shop. Now, the likelihood of that probably very low that those are even options. And then if I couldn't do any of those Gold Star sets, I would definitely want to open a Skyridge or Expedition or probably Aquapolis. I would probably say Skyridge first for those sets, Aquapolis second, and then Expedition third, because at least for Skyridge, Aquapolis, you still have the chances for the crystal cards. Like, can you imagine pulling a Crystal Lugia live or, Skyridge pulling the Crystal Charizard? Like, that would be epic. And plus, like I said in the past, Skyridge, so many good hollows. That entire set is just stacked, So, plus you get reverse hollow and you get a rare in that pack. So you really can't break even. But let's see. Sorry, I keep wanting to go closer to the computer, but I'm doing my best. I'm trying to take constructive criticism. So official no said, do you think it's a good time to buy or wait it out? So this isn't an easy answer. Do I think it's a good time to buy? Yes, but I always think it's a good time to buy. But I also think it's always a good time to sell. I think you can buy or sell in any market. The only issue is you got to be smart what you're buying. You got to be mindful. If you're going to be buying product that you even in the back of your head think that this is a stupid thing to do and that you think the market's going to crash, whether it's sealed modern product or whatever, then don't do it. But I think it's a lot of it is looking at the market. There's been different areas of the market, even in the height of 2020, height of 2021, there were a lot of cards that were still undervalued, even at the very peak of Pokemon, in my opinion. And then there was a absolute ton amount of products that were extremely overvalued. It's really just understanding what you're buying. And people say, is there some kind of magic like formula to it? And there isn't really. It really just boils down to is if you think what you're doing is the smart play, then it probably is. But, you know, do I like I just said in the other video, now I did buy a Chillin' Rain booster box at that $79.95 price. I thought that was a good buy. But I'm already going to tell you guys right now that I have it from a extremely reputable source that they're getting another gigantic wave of Chillin' Rain very soon. So it is actually it's looking more likely than not that that Chillin' Rain 79.95 is actually not the floor. And trust me, when you guys find out the person that I've been talking to and the person that's going to be on this channel, we are going to do a live stream with, and we're going to talk about his distribution. We've already talked about some stuff. He is actually not going to be allowed to discuss some stuff. He does have like non-disclosure agreements with eBay, stuff like that. So I'll tell you right now, the market, when it comes to modern, just from last video, I was actually wrong with a lot of this super modern stuff. I thought that the worst was over and that it was going to start getting better. And after talking to this guy, I could tell you right now that I don't think the worst has come, because really, I thought that the wave we saw just recently on eBay of Chillin' Rain was the end of that third wave, and that Chillin' Rain and potentially Battle Styles were going to maybe not go out of print, but Pokemon was not going to keep pumping this stuff out. And after talking to him, I could tell you with all certainty, and I trust this guy's opinion, that Chillin' Rain will have another huge dump on eBay in the very near term. So now, how much lower can it go from the 79.95? Now that's still up in the air. We'll probably see it drop maybe, right around $75, because these people are going to have to be liquidating a lot of the stuff. And the interview with this person is going to be in late January or middle of January. He just has to, he said right now he's so worried about, figuring out all his taxes and stuff for 2021. But this guy, it's probably, well, I've interviewed some really great people on this channel. I've interviewed Mason from Cardinal Gaming, and Mason has an absolute ton of amount of experience for what he does with the LGS side and, running the day to day and old school Pokemon. Super smart guy. Everything he's done, building his eBay store the way he is, grinding singles the way he is, grinding CGC slabs, PSA slabs, doing giant trades like he did with TCA Gaming, trading, first edition blister packs, getting pins, really grinding. And now this guy is just going to be a great complement to those other two interviews that I've already had in this channel, because he's going to be able to give the point of view of somebody who is one of the largest Pokemon sellers in the history of eBay, with hundreds of thousands of feedback score, and is getting product by like truckloads, truckloads, and truckloads, and truckloads. And the fact that I was invited to go to his new warehouse he's building, like, I'm excited about this. And I have only talked to him for about 15 minutes. And the conversations I've had with him, this guy is a super straight shooter. He doesn't like lie about anything. He tells you like it is. And when I originally talked to him, I said, I wanted to interview him. I wanted to have him on this channel. And the very first conversation we had before, like, I was really able to finish, he thought at first I was a pack breaker. And I was like, oh no, not this channel. I'm kind of anti pack breaker. And then I explained to him, I'm like, no, I want to literally interview you on my channel and be able to ask you, like, what you do, your impact on the Pokemon market, because it is very rare that you meet somebody that is and talk to somebody that the things they do, the products they list, the price points they set actually influences the entire Pokemon market. Like, to think about somebody having that ability for a hobby that so many of us love and care about, and like, we look at this hobby not just from the collectability side but the investment side. To talk to somebody who literally, his decisions, his choices shifts the entire Pokemon market, shifts entire price points for product. Like, this is going to be one of those interviews that people, in my opinion, will talk about for a long time. And when I do actually tell everyone who this person is, it's probably more likely than not, like I said, that every single one of you guys have heard of them. And and the big thing that I was able to do was to sell interviewing him, was telling him that it was going to be alive and that you guys would all be able to ask your questions, ask him about, his distribution chain, the amount of product he's getting. He told me that he sold over 30,000 booster boxes of Chill and Rain just last year. 30,000 booster boxes. Think about that number. And just the fact that I'm going to get to go to this warehouse, and my mouth is going to salivate. After the conversation with him, like, my face was, I was like blank, because, I think we do a lot of things on this channel. We speculate, and, the very quick conversation I had with him, I talked about, I said, obviously you're getting a ton of product right now. And I need to ask you, do you think that this was a conspiracy? That Pokemon was actually sitting back on all this product and they were letting it build up in their warehouses with the sole intention of flooding it onto the market and just killing all prices? And I'll tell you right now, I don't want to tell you exactly what he said, but I will tell you that the answer he gave me made me reconsider every single thought that I had when it came to modern Pokemon cards. And for me, I'm relatively thick-headed person, and you know, I have this channel, and I get, definitely some of these videos are me standing on my soapbox and just talking my head off. So for somebody in a matter of 15 minutes to be able to change my stance on a lot of things, and things that I'm pretty passionate about, and things that I thought I knew, I didn't. So if he was able to do all that in the matter of 15 minutes, I could only imagine what an hour long, or, depending on how well it goes, an hour and a half long interview with you people asking him questions. I think it's going to actually, like, shake up everything we think we know. And I think that was the big surprise, is that we don't actually know as much as we think we know. And especially when it comes to the distributor side and people that are getting like a ton of product. And, just the fact that he said, well, the only thing I can't talk about is the prices I pay for eBay because I have non-disclosures with them. And then he also mentioned the fact that, eBay contacts him directly for him to do sales for Pokemon, meaning that when they contact him directly and they ask him to put product on sale when it comes to Pokemon, and he won't be able to tell us this, but now this is where we can speculate. You can bet your ass off that the prices that they're offering him to do sales for this product to make it even cheaper, that means his, cost to sell on eBay probably gets even less. And I think when we look at, like, us trying to resell a booster box, yeah, we have the true eBay fees. We have the true shipping. We don't have like absolutely amazing, you know, relationships with UPS or FedEx or people like this, where now it doesn't even cost us a lot to list on eBay. It doesn't cost us a lot to make a sponsored auction. It doesn't cost us a lot to ship stuff. I think that's what a lot of people, including myself sometimes, probably were doing wrong. When you were just looking at how much it cost you to ship something, how much it cost you to list something on eBay. That is the huge misconception that I think a lot of people have when it comes to modern product. And yeah, obviously, like I said, with the eBay non-disclosure he has, he's not going to be able to tell us anything, but he's going to be able to tell us how it really is. And I have a list of questions I want to ask him, but I think the big question I want to ask him, and I think it's going to be one of the best questions I could ever ask somebody like him, is I'm going to sit across from him, I'm going to look him straight in the face and say, do you think Pokemon is an investable product when it comes to modern? And I want to know with somebody like that what their thought is when it comes to the true investability of modern. And I feel like that answer is actually going to more or less sway the market in a very small sense. And now, do I think that this video, me interviewing him, is going to be like a more viral type video that I've done on this channel? And it's too hard to say. But after talking to him, and I said, I would like to open up questions to you from my listeners. And he said that he's going to have his streamers advertise this interview we're going to have. So now I never asked who his streamers are, who his social influencers, but it's another thing I had to think about too, is that his streamers, his social influencers, you got to remember now they're getting their product from him for even cheaper prices. So it just makes you like, how I feel about pack breakers and stuff like that. The fact that now these pack breakers are getting product directly from people like this, and that means that now the pack breakers prices, that what they're paying for product is probably like lower, if not the same as anybody with a distributor cost, because people that can move tens of thousands of booster boxes. Yes, tens of thousands of booster boxes. I don't know what their distributor prices are, and he'll never tell us this, but I could guarantee you they're as low, if not the lowest you can possibly get. And I'm excited to just ask somebody, who is that large of a seller, you know, how has the market changed for them? And I asked him a little bit about Chill and Rain. Now I don't want to give out like too much because like I said, this is probably going to be one of the biggest interviews that I will ever have with somebody. But I did ask him, I said, what do you think about, like I said, Chill and Rain booster boxes dropped below $80. Like, how do you feel about that? And what he pretty much said was, even if he did have to lose money on some of this product, he was very straightforward with me. He told me that he does not care. And that was something amazing to hear. That somebody that can be selling booster boxes in the tens of thousands could tell me that he does not care if he loses money. And he said, you know, it's not a it's not like a big thing to hide. He's like, you can look on my eBay store and see how much I sold this year. And it's in the millions of dollars. And he goes, everyone knows how much Pokemon cards were selling for at the height. He's like, I can't sit here and tell you that Pokemon was really bad to me this year. That's the type of straight shooter this guy is. It's going to be epic, guys. And when it does happen, I hope you guys all tune in. And like I said, I am making a very special trip to do this interview with him in person, because I think it is going to be important for all of us to really not not go to school, but for us to get a very clear picture of what it's really like to be somebody selling that sort of product and really being a true market mover. And that's what he is. He is a market mover. And I actually wasn't even going to talk about the fact that I was interviewing him. I was going to do my best to keep it a secret for as long as I could until like everything was more cemented about, like exact time and dates in January. But I'm too excited about it, guys. I think to have somebody on who is a truly straight shooter, and you know, I have a small channel and stuff. Like, he can swear, he can do whatever he want. He could tell it how he is, and I'm going to leave it up to him if he wants to go after some of the people that send back to him Rapidash boxes because people think they're resealed. Like, he can go for it. Like, this is going to be an no gloves on. Like, let's hear it how it really is. And I'd be curious what your guys' thoughts are. If you think he's going to say that he still thinks Pokemon's investable, or if he's absolutely sick of Pokemon and he never wants to see it again. But I did see a very quick just viewing of what he has. And if I told you guys how much product he's really sitting on right now, you wouldn't believe me. And I thought somebody like that would have had like a legit army of people and everything would be like nice, sorted out. But it was kind of like organized chaos in a bit. And I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm very excited about this. And it's going to be a great complementary to the other two guests I've already had on this channel. Like I said, we're going to get that smaller LGS standpoint that we got from Mason. And that interview with Mason was one of the, well, obviously it's on my channel, but was one of the best experiences I have ever had, as a content creator on YouTube, was sitting down, talking to Mason via Zoom. One of the other best things I've ever done as a content creator is talking to old school Pokemon and his point of view. And now to be able to interview this person, it's going to be different, guys. It's going to be one of those things that I think people will talk about. But anyways, trying to get back to the chat. I know I'm super excited about an interview that's not happening for like, I don't know, 50 days. But anyways, let's see. I also want to throw out, so Pokemon or Rock Pokemon said he'd also want to throw out Neo Revelations. Yep, I agree with you, man. Any set that has Shining Pokemon would be fun to open. Oh, TCG Art House, he said, how are you on this steady and calm and poised on camera? Articulate and unwavering focus on camera. You are the Mona Lisa of Poke streamers. Doug, thank you. And Doug, see, I took your advice, and that is why this camera is farther away. Now, I don't know how far you want this back. Feel free to let me know down in the chat. And if you guys don't know TCG Art House, be very careful. This is a Pokemon channel. He's definitely going to do his best to try to shill some fab on you guys. Anyways, Australian Blastoise, I wonder if your opinion on Modern will change as an investment after your warehouse visit. It might, because it is crazy. Kevin Clare said they got warehouses full, jam-packed. Yeah, they do, man. It's crazy. And I think back on, it was a very long time ago, but Danny Phantom had posted a photo of him. I want to say, and don't quote me on this because I don't know if this is true or not, but I want to say he had a bunch of product delivered to his like driveway, and there was a photo of him in his garage sitting on just like tons of boxes of booster boxes and ETBs and all this, and it was kind of like he was sitting on the top of this. Now this other guy, throw that out the window. He's going to make that look like, mine or your collection sitting in our closet. It's going to be a crazy amount. So let's see. Basic Trainer says it's going to be twice big. No. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Rudy doesn't move high volume of Pokemon. No, so it's not Rudy. It's one of the largest eBay sellers in the entire world. He has hundreds of thousands of feedback, and he's definitely one of the largest movers of Pokemon ever. Will Mason said, "Oh, heart. Oh, Mason, don't worry. You're always in my thoughts, always in my prayers." Let's see. Australian Blaster said, man, this interview will break the internet. I'm so excited. Yeah. And if you guys want to let me know any questions you would think about asking somebody that big, who's definitely like a market mover, please let me know. So let's see. No, and it's not Rusty. So keep in mind, Rusty only has like a eBay feedback score in like the 90,000s. This guy's in the hundreds of thousands, and not 100,000, not 200,000, in the 300s of thousands. Yeah. But guys, I don't know. So thinking about stuff like this, thinking about modern, it makes me wonder, like, is modern even more risky than we think? And when it comes down to modern, modern's super speculative, right? And I think that's something most people want to talk about because I think, especially 2020, 2021, people really went hard at modern and especially looked at it from that investee standpoint. And now, my final thoughts right now, and maybe it will change in January when I see how much product and what his warehouse really looks like. And hopefully he lets me film a little bit of it. Obviously, he's probably not going to let me film all of it, but to give you guys like an understanding of how much it actually is. But, you know, my whole thought process when it comes to modern is all about entry points. If you can pick up modern or if you can get into modern product at an entry point that actually makes sense and could be like a financial win for you in the future. And a lot of that is looking at what product in the past has done. Now, all that is super dependent on a major factors. And I'm not a big Magic the Gathering guy, but I understand that a lot of people's thought process for Magic is actually kind of similar in the same sense of Pokemon, is that people, when it comes to Magic, and I'm a believer when it comes to Pokemon, is when stuff finally goes out of print. That is when prices will really start to rise or creep up. But the problem is sometimes it takes product years to really like shake out everything that's actually in the market from distributors and stuff like this. And I think a great example of that is evolutions. As much as I think evolution prices for booster boxes and ETBs and stuff like this, as much as I think those prices make no sense and that evolutions is as overvalued of a product as you can possibly get when it comes to modern, because yes, I still look at evolutions as being an extremely modern overpriced product. But with that said, I can't sit here and absolutely ignore the prices that Evolutions has done. But when you think about Evolutions, what it really took for that product to finally start to creep up in price, it had to go out of print. And the problem was, it just happened to stay in print for, see, I have to sneeze. I can't do it. I'm allergic to this camera. But but anyways, it takes Evolutions that long to go out of print, and then prices started to rise up. Now, is this going to be true for Battle Styles? Is this going to be true for Chill and Rain? It's too hard to tell because it's very possible that if products like Battle Styles and Chill and Rain stick around in collection boxes and tins and all the different products that we saw, very similar to what we saw with Evolutions. We somehow saw Evolutions in every single secondary product Pokemon ever made. We saw it in every tin, every collection boxes for close to 5 years. And if you right now, tomorrow, you told me that a new collection box also had Evolutions packs in it, I wouldn't even be that surprised. I would only be a little surprised, but not like utterly insane surprise. But if that's the case, and we see Battle Styles and Chill and Rain packs in collection boxes for the next 5 years, because Pokemon will have ended up printing so much of this stuff that it kind of never goes away, sure, it can be a very long run. But in that 5 year timeline, if that's not the case, and all that product just gets shoved into booster boxes, and then Pokemon is actually able to move away from Chill and Rain and not just flood us with it forever, in my opinion, in the long term, yeah, I do see a gradual increase in a lot of this stuff. Now, what's a gradual increase? Like I said, right now you can pick up Battle Styles packs at $2.50. In 3 years from now, is it possible, if that stuff really does go out of print and is not still in products, could it go up to the $5 a pack? That is $100 gain on your investment. Is that possible? Sure, it's possible. Anything's possible at that point. you know could Battle Styles, could Chill and Rain in 5 years time truly be a $200 booster box? $200 booster boxes for Pokemon, when you really think about it, is not a lot. When you get out of the Sword and Shield era, so let's just ignore, Sword and Shield base, Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, Battle Styles, Chillin' Rain, Evolving Skies, and Fusion Strike. Let's just literally ignore Sword and Shield booster boxes and think about every other booster box before then. It's hard to find booster boxes that are still selling for less than $200, with the exception of maybe Crimson Invasion. But other than that, you probably can't find me one booster box selling for less than 200. Even a set like Steam Siege. Think about that. Steam Siege, I've seen booster boxes selling for over $200. Now, is it an easy comparison to compare Sword and Shield to Sun and Moon era? Once you go to black and white, things get ridiculous. We've talked about the prices of like Emergent Powers booster boxes on this channel before. Like when it comes to black and white or Diamond and Pearl, and yeah, I guess that's pretty much where you got to stop, because if you go anything earlier than Diamond and Pearl, like prices go nuts for booster boxes, even for Diamond and Pearl. Some Diamond and Pearl booster boxes cost over 5 figures. That's over $10,000 for Diamond and Pearl booster boxes. It's a lot. Now, the big difference when you talk about like a Diamond and Pearl and stuff like that is, the amount of that stuff that probably exists is not that high, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist at all. But we're not talking about $10,000 Battle Styles booster boxes. I'm talking about $200 Battle Styles booster boxes. So I think that's what a lot of people need to keep in mind, is that the prices I'm talking about are not the prices. So stop comparing Battle Styles booster boxes to like more vintage ones. While I still, and this is my personal opinion, I do believe that there is going to be like future demand for some of these sets. And I think a lot of that's going to be people are familiar with these sets, but who knows what like the history of these products actually ends up being and how many people actually shake out. Because and the crazy thing about these booster boxes, this is the crazy thing. You have a lot of people who bought in at Chillin' Rain booster boxes at like $140, $150. So I want you to keep this one thing in mind. Pokemon Center, $143 a booster box. Pokemon Center sold out of Chillin' Rain booster boxes. Think about that. They're selling for 80 right now. That means you have a ton of people who did exactly what I warned them not to do, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the fact that they sold out. You have people whose break-even points are $143, not including selling fees, not including price to ship. Think about that. So probably more realistically than not, their break-even point is, let's call it $155 after, taxes, shipping, and fees. $155. Now, are those people going to be more likely to sell at $80 and take a, $60 loss on the product they bought? Or are those people going to be more likely than not to hold out until at least they get to the break-even point? And think about that. If you buy a Chillin' Rain booster box at $80 and it just creeps back up to their break-even point, which is the 150 mark, that is a $70 gain for you, not including taxes and fees and shipping. That is over a 50% gain. That is getting very close to 100% gain. So that's why, for me, these very low price modern booster boxes are enticing. But don't get me wrong. And this is where people will take my words and they'll run with it and they'll say, I'm just super bullish on Battle Styles and Chillin' Rain. Listen, I'm not foolish. I told you early in this video, after talking to that guy and hearing that his gigantic wave of Chillin' Rain wasn't the third wave, that he's actually getting another one very soon, it doesn't make me think that this $80 anymore is in fact the bottom. I think the bottom could be lower, but I don't think that this is like a runaway product that we never reach the bottom. I think eventually there will truly be a bottom when it comes to prices for these products. And that's just my opinion. Now, you could take it for what it's worth and you can say, no, I'm wrong. And in fact, this product is somehow going to keep retracing down to such an unrealistic dollar amount as 0, which means literally there is 0 value to this product. Now, I'm not even going to entertain those conversations because obviously, hopefully you guys can understand that the price point of 0 is not possible. But who knows how long they're going to stay this low for? That's another thing. You look, yeah, we talk about Crimson Invasion. We talk about how low Crimson Invasion was for as long as it was. It took all the way until the pandemic and the hype that is 2020 to somehow save the prices of, Crimson Invasion and have that booster box crack above $100 for the first time in 4 years. So actually more than 4 years, 5 years it took for that booster box. But then I've said it so many times, and I don't want to keep saying it, but I will. Also keep in mind that every single modern product is not created equal. They will all move in different ways. Not every modern product is going to be a winner. There's going to probably be a lot of losers, but that's where you're going to have to make your own decision. Is the product you're buying, does it actually make sense? Is it a product you think will do good in the long term? Or do you think it's going to be something that's going to perform very poorly? Because if you think it's going to perform very poorly, you probably shouldn't be buying it as an investment. And I don't think you're going to find me a lot of people that are going to tell you to buy it as an investment if you think it's going to perform poorly. So, rant over. Let's see. Let's see. Big question is if Pokemon really cares about overprinting, or maybe we look back and see what they got it right. Right now, it doesn't look like they care about overprinting. I think what Pokemon cares about right now is meeting the demand for all their suppliers. And I've talked about this before. You know, people from Walmart, people from Target, there's some executive that has the direct number to some other executive at Pokemon. And when they pick up their phone and they say, hey, listen, we're one of your, or MJ Holdings or whoever, they pick up the phone and they say, listen, we're one of your biggest customers. Walmart, when their shelves are empty, like I'll tell you right now, Walmart's business model is not to have empty shelves. That is not their business model. Their business model is to have product on the shelves at all time. And when they're buying millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of product from Pokemon every year, and they pick up the phone and they say, listen, you need to give us supply. Pokemon is going to do everything they can to fulfill the needs of their clients. Because when you think about it, yes, right now Pokemon is hot and everybody's buying it and everybody wants an agreement with the distributor and everybody wants to, be the new Ripper, Flipper, whatever hat they want to wear this week. But guess what? In the past, the only people really, keeping Pokemon more or less afloat when it comes to the TCG, and I think that's the big disclaimer you got to do too, is Pokemon is more than just a trading card. But keep in mind, this is a Pokemon channel. We talk about the trading card game. We don't talk about all the other aspects of the Pokemon IP. But when it comes to the TCG, Pokemon Target, smaller LGSs, those were the people that kept Pokemon afloat, during the hardest times. During that Diamond and Pearl time, those were the people buying product, selling product. It wasn't these, random Joe Smo that you went to high school with and found out Pokemon has exploded in price and then, got himself a business license and now they're trying to sell on some eBay store. No, those were not the people. So that's to answer your question, if they're trying to flood product or not. I think they are. Uh, let's see. He just went from ultra modern going to 0 to being a slam dunk to hitting at least 200. What an emotional roller coaster, huh? Yeah, roller coaster, hands up. I think I like to, talk as if my roller coaster, how when you come right out the gate and then it just starts ticking up, tick, 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 and you're looking around and some people are starting to get scared. I think that's what we're doing right. Well, I think that's kind of what we were doing as that price was starting to really tick up. And so TCG, let me run with this. I really like that, your emotional roller coaster, thought process. I think that's a perfect example of a lot of people's feeling is as we were creeping up that roller coaster and it was ticking up. Me personally, as prices were rising, and I know a lot of people in this chat, as prices for modern were really rising quick. That was the only time I was ever afraid of Modern, really afraid of Pokemon, because we were just strapped in for the ride. We had no clue what was going on. And, that was the point where we were trying to really warn people and saying, this is scary. But I feel we have now hit the top of that roller coaster after we did the chain and we ticked all the way up. And now, as collectors and investors, we get to put our hands up, because now as that thing starts flying down and everybody around us is holding on for dear life and they're screaming their head off because this Pokemon roller coaster is zigging and zagging and doing the ups and downs, and you got Timmy in the back puking his brains out, and Billy in the back, he's pissing his pants because he's so afraid that this roller coaster is going nuts, and all of us have our hands up because we're now loving the ride. I think that's where we are in the Pokemon market. I think the roller coaster is happening right now. And the real collectors, the real investors, we're loving it. And everybody else is puking and pissing their pants in the back. All right. So that was really, that went off the right off the cliff anyway. All right. Pokin Fun said, if you bought at $143 open, that's okay. You should know by now. Yeah, I mean, the open-end argument is always different, but my argument when it comes to paying higher prices is, even at the highest of highs, if you were good, you can shop around. But I understand more than anyone how hard it was at certain points to shop. As the market continued to get higher and higher, even people that I had bought product from in the past and had always gotten relatively good prices, even their prices had creeped up to prices where I had to now back away and say, sorry, I can't do this. Australian Blastoise says, your lies always seem to start exactly when my wife has given me chores to do. Haha, she's not happy. Well, she's really, really happy. Rarely happy anymore when it comes to Pokemon. Yeah, I think my wife is actually very happy about Pokemon. And you guys want to see what came in the mail today? So if you guys are not new to this channel, I have he's going to be 6 months tomorrow. But anyways, my wife bought this for him. It came in the mail today. Can you see this? This is how he's going to learn his ABCs, by Pokemon. This is the type of father I am. That my son will learn his ABCs by Pokemon. So it is. I've already read the book to him. And then, have I read it on my own? No. Or have I? But yeah, like P is for Pikachu. There's a Pokemon that stores electricity in its cheeks. Pikachu. Like, yes, I am definitely that type of dad. So, Kevin Clare said, Celebrations ETB to be $30, LOL. Yeah, we talked about Celebrations going down to $2 in the last stream. It's definitely possible. I think the problem is there's just a couple cards that are going to hold that back a little bit. Charizard, as being the chase card for Celebrations, is really going to have to retrace a little bit harder than it already is. And like the Umbreon Gold Star selling for like $30 a card right now, it's still going to have to retrace a little bit harder. Gold Star Greninja being the promo of the ETB is going to have to really retrace down to like $2-3, because right now the EV for Celebrations packs, there's too many cards that are still worth $2. And then there's still too many cards that are worth a little bit over $2. Now, as Celebrations gets open more and more, those cards are dropping further and getting much closer to like that $2 area. But when you look at a Celebrations ETB and all the extra packs you have in, it's just going to take a little bit for the prices of Celebrations individual cards for the EV to get closer to $2. Because right now, at $2 a pack, you can open up a bunch of packs and actually make money. If that was true, if Celebrations packs really got down to $2. Now, are you going to pull a bunch of Charizards? Are you going to pull a bunch of Umbreon Gold Stars? No. Are you going to, but you're probably going to pull a bunch of Venusaurs. You're going to pull a bunch of Blastoids, cards that are just floating way too close to that $2 mark. But I think given enough time, we'll see those cards, maybe not be bulk, but be pretty darn close to bulk, which, you got to think about all the poor people out there who paid crazy amounts of money for, something crazy like a PSA 10 Venusaur or something. But, you know, I I don't feel bad for the people that bought those cards because they should have known. And I actually kind of got to tip my hat a little bit and give a little bit of respect to the people that actually graded those cards at $150, and some of them who were first to market and actually made money. Like, that was a pretty ballsy play, but like I said, got to tip my hat to them because they actually were able to make money. Now, obviously, we all know that the grading market, when it comes to celebrations in the future, especially the print quality of celebrations, is top notch. It's one for a modern product. It is definitely one of the best print qualities we have seen in a very long time. I mean, top notch. We're going to see a ton of PSA 10s for pretty much across the board, every single celebration pack. And, you know, we're going to see Venusaurs and Blastoids again. We do it every day, but if PSA ever somehow does drop their grading prices all the way down to $10, if that does actually happen, then, those cards will maybe sell at PSA 10s for like the $20 area. Maybe you'll get like, 100% return. So that's my thought when it comes to celebrations reaching $30. It's definitely not impossible. It's just like I said, the EV is too high right now. Let's see. So let's see. So, all right, guys. So because I'm trying to be a good boy and I'm trying not to get awkwardly close to the camera today, I'm trying to read the chat on my phone opposed to my computer. So if for any reason I missed your question and you do still want to answer, just do me a favor. Write it at the bottom of the chat and I'll do my best to get to it, because on my phone is much harder than on my computer. I think another wave of battle styles or chill and rain is dangerous for the hobby. Even if it's already packed up and ready to ship, Pokemon should burn that wave or crash everything. Yeah, man, I don't think Pokemon's going to ever do anything like that. But you're right. It's definitely dangerous. And it kind of makes you nervous. And it doesn't just make you nervous for the collectability and investability of Modern. It makes you nervous for everybody who's probably going to get burned pretty hard trying to compete with somebody who is selling booster boxes for $75. Like, a lot of people will get burned, and it's going to be a bloodbath for a lot of people. It's not going to be fun. All right. Pac Menace says, another thing is that nobody knows the pull rates exactly. So for all we know, the pull rates could be super bad. That will cause price to go up for singles and boxes. And, so Pac Menace, you bring up a great point. And this is something we've kind of touched base on a little bit on this channel, is when you think about vintage cards, pull rates were so much easier than modern cards. And maybe everybody's thinking that is like crazy because you think of, well, like the prices of vintage, but no, your chances of pulling a Charizard is like 0.8. Like, so your chance more, because keep in mind, base set had 16 hollows, but number 8 being the Machamp was from the 2-player starter deck. So really there was only 15 hollows that you can pull in base set, and you're going to get around 12 hollows per booster box. So you have like a 0.8% chance. So pretty much your chance of pulling a Charizard is right around 1 per box. And again, like I said, you get 12 hollows per booster box. There's 15 hollows in total. But like I said, it's about 1 per box. So it's not that hard. Now, Gold Stars, a little bit harder. 1 in every 72 packs. So that's 1 out of every 2 booster boxes. Pop Series 5 packs, again, 1 out of every 40 packs to pull, again, Umbreon Gold Star. Not, again, they're non-hollows. Umbreon or Espeon Gold Stars, non-hollows. 1 out of every 40 Pop Series 5 pack. For Modern, some of these cards, the pull rates, and keep in mind, this is not information that I have purposely like done tests for, but there are people out there that have pulled the rate, like made spreadsheets, did the rates. Some cards, the pull rates are like 1 out of every 1,000 packs. Think about that. 1 out of every 1,000 packs to pull some chase cards. Now, the huge difference being that people weren't opening as much, Crystal Guardians to pull a gold star versus how many people are opening Evolving Skies. So in the long term, even though you could have a chase card be a 1 out of 1,000 chance, which is crazy. That's like one out of every 20 booster boxes for some of these chase modern cards. But keep in mind too, modern sets are huge now. I don't know if any of you guys ever tried the complete master sets of Cosmic Eclipse. I tried for like a month and then I said, this is stupid. I can't do this. I need to go out and buy all these cards individual because Cosmic Eclipse at the time being one of the largest sets ever. Now you look at a set like Fusion Strike, which single prices are dropping daily and they're becoming less and less as we speak. Even like during the recording of this video, we've been talking for a little while, the prices of Fusion Strike individual cards have probably already dropped even more. So it would never in a million bazillion years ever make sense to literally try to open up packs to complete a master set of, like Fusion Strike, like never in a million years. So I think in the long term, though, we'll still see a ton of these cards. It is just crazy to think that the pull rates are so much harder. And that's why it's going to be. But that's the thing, too, when you talk about modern Pokemon and the chase, people will still not care. In 5 years from now, when people look at an Evolving Skies booster box, they're still going to only look at what they can pull, not what they're probably more likely than not going to pull. Same way as you look at like a Deoxys booster box. Sure. Deoxys booster box, yeah, maybe you pull the Gold Star Rayquaza, pull the Latios Gold Star. Maybe. But keep in mind, for $60,000, you still have only like a 50% chance of that booster box having one of those gold stars. And then on top of that, that is still numbers that no one really knows for sure. That is just the consensus of what we think the real true pull rates are. Nobody really knows. We don't. But Pac-Man, it's great question. Let's see. So our RS Nerd said, I dumped a box of Darkness Ablaze in eBay at the peak. Thank God. Listen, man, if you did that, I say great for you. And if you still want to pick up that booster box in the future, you're probably going to get price points pretty soon. Let's see. Orphan Charmander. Wow, that's a pretty funny name. I like that. Orphan Charmander said, McDonald's would boost their sales 1,000,000 times if they sold Pokemon every half year. Battle Styles is still $130 on booster boxes. Danish sites are horrible. Makes Denmark cheap again. Oh, I see. Yeah, we've talked about this before that, other countries. I don't know what a booster box sells for, and I'm guessing obviously you're from Denmark. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm guessing a lot of that is probably having to do with just, the actual distribution issues the world is facing between shipping and stuff like this. Now, Denmark, I'm guessing it's all shipped in. I'm guessing you have some major ports there. So if your ports are anything like America's ports, Los Angeles, they're all backed up. So that could be some of that, and probably most of your booster boxes you're buying internationally anyway. So I'm going to go on a limb and say American or United States sellers are probably selling you those booster boxes. So maybe with shipping fees and everything, I could see 130 definitely being realistic. Like, listen, I don't know how close you guys are to the Skyridge market, and if you're looking at Skyridge singles, but one of the things I've talked about long time ago is that while Skyridge booster boxes were very rare in the United States, I think personally that Wizard of the Coast shipped away a lot of Skyridge booster boxes to like European countries, because a lot of the sales for, individual Skyridge cards is like Germany. And there's one stupid United Kingdom seller who just, for whatever reason, has every single Skyridge common or uncommon I need to complete my set. He manages to have every single one of them at prices I'm willing to pay, but I'm not willing to pay the shipping costs to ship from the United Kingdom to America, because like $18 to ship a $2 common. Like, no, sorry, that's not going to happen. So I can understand if that's the case for your $130 Battle Styles booster boxes. So Professor Oak said, oh my God, that's the cutest book in the world ever. I can't even cope with this. Yeah, I think my wife paid like $2 for the Pokemon ABC's book on Amazon, so I definitely recommend picking it up. Pac-Man, it says, Pokemon Company is not stupid, and I think they care about the integrity of the company, but people freak out when they see a lot of product. And yes, it is weird, and I think we're really starting with the ton of product, Pac-Menace, is with the people freaking out. I think we're starting to really find out who was in Pokemon for, this is super subjective, but for the right reasons versus the wrong reasons. And I think we're really starting to shake out the people that were, you know, actually cared about the cards, cared about the hobby, and were in it for, yes, the investability of Pokemon, but they were in it for maybe a little bit more than that too. And I've talked about it before, to be a collector first, like you being a collector versus an investor, 100% investor, you're already hedging yourself against the market because, you can be smart and you can hold on to product if prices crash because you actually care about the product. Like that's how it goes. And I'm sure there's like some people out there who you guys can think of right off the bat who were probably in Pokemon for the money and nothing else. And once the bottom of the Pokemon market crashed, all these people are going bye bye. So think about that. Yeah. Which set card in English? So again, I'm sorry guys, I'm keep skipping questions. If I missed your question, please rewrite it at the bottom of the chat. I'm going to do my best to answer them all. Will another set outdo Fusion Strike and hit 300 plus cards in a set? Bob Thrasher asked. Maybe, man. Pokemon is somehow just pumping a tons of cards out, and they're a train, man. They're not stopping. Kawaii Buddy said, vintage is the only semi-safe route. Anything modern is a huge risk besides scarce cards like special delivery Bidoof, but only because it's special and has a Charizard on it. I wouldn't. So I agree with the first part of what you wrote. When you say that vintage is the only semi-safe investment, I'll give you that. But when then you talk about, safe cards also being special delivery Bidoof, man, I would tell you right now that special delivery Bidoof, while it might not seem like they're going to do a reprint of it because, a lot of people thought maybe we see a reprint of special delivery Pikachu because of how crazy that market is. It's way too early to say that special delivery Bidoof will not get reprinted. And then on top of that, I want you to keep something very important in mind when it comes to special delivery Bidoof. Pokemon Center UK just opened up. It is probably a decent chance, not 100%, but there's probably a chance that Pokemon Center UK also gets these promos, and they now flood out to a lot of UK countries and England and all this stuff. Now, do I know that? No. But am I going to say like there is a potential likelihood of that? Yes. So just keep that in the back of your head that if you think special delivery Bidoof is a safe card, like it might not be as safe as maybe you think. Let's see. So Australian Blastoise said, which set in English has the hardest estimated pull rate? Burning Shadow Zard was insane. I'm not going to mention how many boxes I went through with the kids. Disgraceful. And Australian Blastoise, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. In my opinion, I would say you picked the hardest card to pull is probably Burning Shadow's Charizard. And the only reason I can say that is because you look at what the prices for Burning Shadow Charizard are still doing after all this time. And, even like Burning Shadows, is there probably a lot of Burning Shadows Charizards in the backlog at PSA? Yes, of course. But when you look at the prices of Burning Shadows Charizard, they didn't really make sense to send out a bulk tier grade because if a lot of people just sent away Burning Shadow Charizards, guess what? It was a foolish decision because your turnaround time is going to be so much longer. And being a Charizard, you're going to get hit with final value fees because PSA, they're not always fantastic with hitting people with final value fees. They're getting like way better at it from their business standpoint, getting way worse at it from our standpoint, because now we're all paying final value fees on all these cards. But the one card that they always seem to nail every time is a Charizard. If you grade a Charizard, it gets a 10. Like, it's like whoever the PSA person is that looks through your submission list, like, and they see Charizard PSA 10, upcharge, like bam, final value, upcharge. 100% of the time it seems to be happening. So with that said, because and keep in mind, this is a modern card being graded in relative to what's graded versus what the prices we're still seeing that card hold strong at. I would say that that is probably a harder card to pull based off of those factors. Now, I could be totally wrong. Maybe the population in a year from now will triple, but I think it's probably less likely. And like I said, because it would make sense to send that card at maybe a little bit higher tier, so it should already be back to you. And Burning Shadows being a, earlier Sun and Moon set and not one of the later Sun and Moon sets. So, you have, what was Burning Shadows released in? 2017? No. Yeah, wait. Nope. Sorry, 2000. I don't even remember. 2016? I don't know. It's like 2016 or 2017, Burning Shadows was released. So it's still been about 4 years. Let's see what else we got. How much? So Asian Buffett reseller. How much time do you spend a week studying Pokemon? I spend way too much time studying Pokemon. Well, when you think about just this channel, I mean, I spend a few hours a week just standing on my soapbox and talking into a camera. So I spend a lot of time, but I think it's like anything. You could ask somebody, it's like, how much time a week do you spend watching television? How much time do you spend watching the news? And maybe somebody say, well, the reason I spend a lot of time watching television is because when I get home from a long day of work, like, I like to relax on the couch and watch TV because it's fun. Well, for me to come home after a long day of work, to play with my son, say hi to the wife, and then at the end of the day to sit on the couch and look up different Pokemon facts, like, it's fun to me. Maybe the same way somebody else gets pleasure out of watching TV, I get pleasure out of studying some obscure Pokemon card that I'd never even heard about. Let's see. Um, let's see. Pokemon Center just opened up in Europe. Yeah. How come Pokemon doesn't set pull rates like lotto tickets? I should be able to see them on the back of the packs. Yeah, right. Uh, so let's see. Swami says you should hit them up and go to the group. All the commons you need for one shipping cost. Yeah, Swami's probably right. Go to that UK seller and be like, listen, I know you've been asking $3.95 for this card. It keeps just going around on your auction. Can I just buy this and 12 other ones and I'll pay you $20 to ship them? I think you're on to something, Swami. Let's see what else. Sorry, guys. Again, I'm trying to be a good boy. I'm trying not to be super close, awkward to the camera, so I'm missing a lot of these. Please rewrite your questions in the bottom of the chat. So Chew and Annie said, when I started in the Pokemon hobby, I opened sealed product. Now I keep sealed product sealed. Yeah, that's just part of it, I guess. I would never tell anybody to stop opening product. Like, I think for just the investability, like, it doesn't make sense to open product. But if you want to enjoy cards, if you want to enjoy sets, like, Pokemon's supposed to be fun. If you're going to open a $4 pack and lose $4, hopefully that's not the make or break for you. Because if the $4 pack breaking cost is the make or break for you, you probably shouldn't be opening Pokemon cards in the first place. And, like, I'll tell you that, just to be honest. Orphan Charmander said, it's $174 a booster box. I'm going to sell my mom and invest $20,000 in Rebel Clash. To the moon. The battle styles are $174 and $7 transported in my country. Please do not buy battle styles, man. Battle styles is going to be reprinted before we know it. So Pokefresh said, what are your thoughts on AGS robo-grading? Will they last for a long time? Why or why not? I love to hear your thoughts. You want to know about that? That'll be a good answer. AGS robo-grading. They will not last. Listen, I think King Pokemon, he's done a lot for Pokemon. There's a lot of people out there that are hit or miss about King Pokemon. I'm not going to say anything good about him. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. But all I'll say this is that when he made that video talking about robo-grading, keep in mind that he is a investor in that company. He has been on the record before trashing all other grading card companies. And when it comes to the Pokemon hobby, a lot of the reasons we go after PSA is a lot of it is from people like him, people that were around at the very beginning, people who when you would go out and grade too many of one card, those people would literally message your eBay account and tell you to stop grading so much of a certain card because they were manipulating the market for a little while. And part of that market manipulation, this is going back a long time ago. It's not like that anymore. Trust me. When you go out and you can grade as many of a certain card as you want now at PSA, and nobody's going to bat an eye, and you're not going to get a mean message on eBay from any of these people. That is something from a long time ago. But trust me, it really did happen. People would get mad when you graded too much of one card, and you would cause the population to go from like 5 to 15. Like it was crazy. So now, King Pokemon definitely helped shill up PSA for a long time. And then not only did he shill up PSA, all the E4 group did. And that was one of the major reasons that PSA really gained traction. And people would be very quick to shit on any grading card company that was not PSA. And, even BGS got a hard time from a lot of people for being graded, even though PSA is by far like one of the looser graders. And that's another thing to talk about is that PSA would give out 10s easy-ish. Like PSA 10s are not like given away willy-nilly, but they're not as hard sometimes as other grading card companies. Now, and what did all that boil down to? That is shilling a market until that shilling just becomes the norm. And that's the thing I've talked about before is when you can manipulate the market to a certain point, you get past the point where you're now manipulating the market and it just becomes the truth. And I've talked about this from trophy cards, and maybe someday, not right now, but in the future, maybe we'll talk about the trophy card market and how the trophy card market, it was shilled to the point where trophy cards did not have a lot of value, relatively speaking to what we're seeing now, to now the valuation that trophy cards are being graded at. And that, in order to get like the trophy card market to where it is today, it took a lot of educating people who had never heard of a card ever, because with the exception of actually being at Worlds or being an active player in Pokemon TCG and actually winning these trophy cards yourself as purely a collector, as purely an investor, you do not even know what trophy cards exist or how they were received or anything like that. There is a huge, gigantic educational gap from the collector, investor to trophy cards. You have to explain and make an investor and collector want a trophy card. Now that is an example of shilling the market to the point where it worked, and it is no longer shilling the market to pump up trophy cards. Now to pump up trophy cards, it's just talking about a card that inherently now has good investment, and now people who have never even seen a trophy card in person at least understands now the fundamentals of a trophy card and why a trophy card is worth money and why maybe they should actually want a trophy card, and that in the long term, due to artificial rarity and scarcity, because only so many of those trophy cards will ever exist on the market. Now that kind of stuff has been portrayed in the hobby to a point where now people are accepting of it, but it took a while to get there. And sure, there was always like a couple trophy cards that everyone knew, Illustrator Pikachu, 1990, super early, you know trophy cards, people understood about that because it would be like a Nintendo Power Magazine, stuff like that, going back real deep. But some of these winner cards, it takes a while to explain that. So anyways, that is an example of shilling the market and really artificially pumping up stuff until it became a thing. And the same thing happened with PSA to an extent. And probably PSA happened to an extent before most people, if not almost all people, were actually in the market. And then more importantly, were in the market to grade cards. And when they looked at what companies actually graded Pokemon, and PSA was number one, that was caused by like people like King Pokemon. So when you have a company like AGS Robo Grading, which will not have long-term value for graded cards, they won't. And especially at price points that PSA cannot compete with right now. But don't get me wrong. In the future, PSA will eventually come back around. And when they do come back around, whether or not the actual cards in the case are the same exact case, and you might have a AGS Robo grading card that graded a PSA 8.5, but it is of far superior quality than a PSA 9, and you can look at it and you can say, oh my God, this PSA 9 is misgraded. It's not worth as much. This same exact card in an AGS 8.5 is a far superior card. We talk about it all the time on this channel. People should buy the card, not the grade, but it does not matter, and it will never matter. People will never buy the card and not the grade. We are so far away from getting people to actually look at a card and looking at the grading card. How many people have shit on GMA? People will not, you can have a GMA. You know, there's people out there that if I'm like, hey, I have this PSA 10, I cracked this slab, I resubmitted it to GMA, and GMA gave me a GMA 10. People would not care. And you know what they would say? They would say, well, GMA gives every card a 10. And then you could be like, no, stop. Listen to me what I just said. I cracked a PSA 10 and resubmitted it to GMA, and they gave me the same grade. People would look at you and go, no, GMA gives every card a 10. It doesn't matter. And that's a perfect example. People will never buy the card and not the grade. So eventually, given enough time, PSA, their doors will open. Who knows when it's going to happen? And guess what? PSA has a lot of freaking money, way more money than we could ever imagine. And if the market does eventually cool off and people are no longer submitting cards, which right now we are very far away from that happening. We are far away from people no longer submitting cards to PSA in droves and causing an absolute flood of deliveries every day, and PSA not really being able to keep up. If the market ever does drop and PSA can even get cards down to $20 for graded, right now we finally made it to the $100 mark, and I think that is a big milestone that PSA was able to get to, is the $100 regular grading fee. So yeah, we're still $80 away from a $20 fee. Or you know, is $10 ever possible? Probably not. Did the president and CEO come out and say that their plan is to get back to $10 grading fees? Did he do that? Yeah. Was that just him, whipping it out, swinging it about, and showing everybody that he's the boss and that he could get people talking? Yeah, maybe. But keep in mind, if that PSA ever does drop their prices, all these other grading card companies, the value will be nothing. And I get it. I literally just told you how you should value the card and not the grade. But whether or not I think that, no one else does. I've showed, GMA slabs on this channel of Raichus because I am a very weird collector and I want to pick up Raichu, base set from grade 1 all the way up to 10 and every single subgrade in between. And not only do I like to pick up low grades, I also like to send cards away myself and see if I could complete that master 1 through 10 with all, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, and everything going up to 10, trying to do that myself. It's something I do for fun. But if I had a PSA 5 Raichu base set unlimited versus a GMA versus a CGC 5, no one will ever value those two cards the same as PSA. So that is my thought process in AGS grading. And I went off on a tangent, but whatever, just listen. Now, when you talk about why people are even talking about it, it's because you can go on their website and you see one of the vice presidents is, Gary King Pokemon. And yeah, guess what? He got upset at PSA and he asked for his return back, and he cracked, or I guess he didn't crack the slabs. I guess they never encased him or whatever. He didn't want to pay the final value fees because he got away with not paying final value fees for years. But I don't see him selling any of those cards. And if he does sell them, he's not going to get the premium for any of those cards. And he sent some pretty nice cards away. I watched that video. I understand what people are trying to do. I understand what other grading card companies are trying to do. And they're providing a service, and it's a good service. Some people like to have their cards graded. Guess what? Swami, if Swami's still listening to this video, Swami has his own sonic welder at home and his own cases. You want to spend $10? I'm sure you could send a bunch of cards to him, have him grade them, have him slap any freaking number grade on them you want. You want everything to be a grade 69. I'm sure Swami is throw on a bunch of grade 69s for you on his sonic welder. Just be careful in the long term. In the short term, I think there's can be a ton of value out there picking up a lot of these, Billy Scribopple Grading Company or whatever the heck their names are, Timmy Grading Emporium or whatever, and you want to pick up some of those cards at higher grades, because right now, one thing we live in is 2021. A lot of these cards have some really good high quality digital scans. You can go on, you can look at the cards real time on your computer on eBay, look at the actual quality of it, and if that card is clearly the same, grade as a PSA 10, you can crack that slab and have a potential for huge returns in the future doing nothing. And that's a crazy thing. Sometimes Pokemon takes a lot of work, especially buying raw cards. You know me, I talk about buying raw cards all the time. Buying truly Gem Mint 10 raw cards takes a lot of work, a lot of time, and you make a lot of errors along the way. It's very easy for a photo on eBay to have a bad angle and for you to miss something and have that card grade a 9 versus a 10. And as you know, a 9 versus a 10, there is a huge price disparity. So to have some third-party grading company already look at that card, give it a 10, and then give you super high-quality scans that you can look at for a card that's already graded that you can crack in the future and send it to PSA, because you know the truth that people will value the grade and not the card itself. Just something to think about. Yep. That's me on my soapbox. Anyways. Sorry, guys. It probably, let's see. PSA is garbage between upcharges, crimping or pinching cards, and worst case, opening sealed packs for verification and grading. I talked about that, opening those packs on what they did for Rusty. Now, if they pinch your card or they crimp your card, now at least PSA has good insurance. All those cards are insured, especially if it's a high dollar, high value card. You're going to be able to get whatever that card will be insured at. So, you should be okay. I mean, it sucks to have anybody damage your cards. So does anyone else think this guy looks like Freddy from iCarly? I don't even know what that means, but I hope that's a compliment and not an insult. So Smitty Werbin said, "Yup, I got banned from E4 for supporting CGC." LOL. I think a lot of people got banned from E4 for supporting CGC. And listen, I'm going to say this in a way that won't. I'm going to say this in a way that I want you guys just to think about it. There are some moderators on E4. When you look at how do I phrase this that I'm not just going to shit on somebody? There are some moderators on E4 who are very quick to lock certain chats. And the reason that they lock them is they'll quote the E4 policies. But a lot of the times, the things that they quote, the E4 policies, is more or less people having like-minded discussions and not all the time arguing. But sometimes the people that are locking those chats are doing it more or less for their own personal reasons. And that's all I'll say about that. You could take that however you want it. And I know in my head, I could think of a couple perfect examples of how that has been true. And people will always quote the E4 rules, or they'll quote things like, this should be written somewhere else. And they'll have a way to do that too. But it only should ever be written somewhere else in the E4 chat is when a lot of people start to get involved and some of these chats really pick up steam. Now, I think there's merit to all those. Obviously, E4 has their rules and people should follow them. And then I think E4 also has areas that they're already designated to have chats, but sometimes, and not all the time, sometimes discussion topics are worthy to have their own threads, even if it is temporary. But sometimes the temporariness of some of these threads is not temporary. It's kill these threads as fast as we can, send them somewhere else where their comments will just get eaten up instantly and nobody will ever be able to have discussions. Think about it. Think about it. People hate me. I get it. That's why no one knows my E4 name. And no one ever will. Ever. Yep. Orphan Charmander says he is very informative and a great speaker. PSA should change their cases and make their labels more modern. Yeah, I agree with the changing cases. You know, when you could actually hold any case. CGC case is probably one of the nicer cases. A lot of people don't like the blue label. They definitely didn't like that the grades were off-centered for a while. I'm pretty sure CGC has more or less fixed that issue where now their grades are centered. CGC slabs are really nice. Beckett slabs, while they are not as long as CGC slabs, they are shorter. Some people actually like that those slabs are shorter. Super high quality for Beckett slabs. Like a lot of things to think about. So let's see. Swami said, oh yeah, I'm throwing out grade 69s for cheap. Welds are not as clean, but bear hair, get your cheap slabs. Yeah, guys, everybody go to Swami. Swami, I want to know in the chat, what's going to be your grading card company? Can we call it shill grading? Is that a good name, shill grading, where we just shill up your grading card company and we get a bunch of people to dump money into it? People will see, they'll take that little snippet that I just said and they'll run with it. Pokefresh says, I do like the look of their cases and I'm not grading with them for selling purpose. To be honest, it's mainly for protection and just to grade some cards until PSA opens back up. Listen, I'm okay with that. I graded a couple cards with, well, I wasn't really grading them to protect them. I was grading them because I just thought the market was so hot and it was just a super easy flip. Like I have some videos you can go back on and watch. They're on the channel. I had a GMA return and I graded all those cards at $4.50 per card to grade. I graded like 8s and 7s of, base set, unlimited commons, uncommons. Like it was just bulk cards I had that I wanted to grade and flip onto the market. I was selling those cards at, some of them like over $20. Base set 7s for Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander, I was selling for like $30 a piece for GMA 8s. I mean, it was one of the easiest things I did. And it was a very short term thing, but to grade it for $4.50 now, I didn't do any of that stuff for long term stuff. So, that's something I want you to keep in the back of your mind too, is I was trying to dump some of this real low grade stuff. And like I said, you can go back and it's like a 300 card GMA return at $4.50. There, out of the return, there was not one single GMA 10. That shows you the cards I sent to them. but the market at the time was still able to absorb those slabs. If you ask me if I still want to send those cards to like a GMA at $4.50 today, at the time of recording this video, I would still be too nervous to do it. But at the time I sent those cards, it was November 2020, $4.50 a card, 20-day turnaround times. I had 300 common and uncommon GMA 8s and 7 base set cards graded in 20 days for $4.50. I made a killing. I made thousands of dollars selling common Charmanders GMA 7. Like, and if you don't believe me, you go back, watch that video. And there was a couple, like even a bunch of like shadowless hollows too thrown in there. I did crack out like a few of the shadowless hollows. I ended up grading a little bit higher than I thought, but you can go back, watch those. It's a 2-part video. If you don't believe me, so Dark Cosmos said, did TCA Gaming get his money back from PSA for opening vintage packs? So Dark Cosmos, I talked about this on my channel before. So I don't think that what PSA did was intentional, because if you noticed on those packs, every single pack was opened at the bottom. And if I think what really happened was that the seals on all the bottom of those packs were just really poorly done at the factory by Wizard of the Coast, like once upon a time ago, all the way back when these cards were actually being sealed. And I think what happened was whoever the verifier of those packs, I'm sure, I don't know how they grade packs, and I've talked about it in this channel before. I wish as a community we could all get together and no longer have grades on packs and just have the all PSA graded packs just be verified and not be 8, 9, 10s, because I've looked at 9 grades and 10 grades and I have no clue. Like, sure, there's a couple packs where you can see on the front where like the crimp, they were like in the booster box and the crimp, you can see it like the indent in the front of the pack. Like I could understand that, but some packs I have no clue the difference between a PSA 9 for graded pack versus a PSA 10. But when they were playing, because I'm sure they like pull the crimp a little bit and see if there's a little bit of tug. And when they did it to the bottom of the pack, it probably had a poor seal and they just pulled it and it freaking came right apart. And when they had the next pack, they did the same thing. Next thing, I can see how the grader maybe did that and was like, yeah, these are not verifiable. But TCA, with his rapport with PSA, there's 0% chance that he didn't get all his money back, and they probably like sent him a huge apology letter too. So now, if that was me or you, and we had the same exact issue, we would probably have a long road ahead of us trying to get PSA to pay for our packs and saying that they damaged them during verification process. Tabletop Games 99 said, I got banned from 2 Facebook groups for asking questions about CGC. See, man, like it's crazy. Like there is some real shilling that goes on in the hobby, and Pokemon as a whole, there's a long track record of shilling, of market manipulation. And one of the things I said is, listen, I talk bad about market manipulation, but market manipulation in Pokemon, it's not always a bad thing. Actually, market manipulation in Pokemon sometimes is a good thing. And the only time market manipulation is a good thing in Pokemon is if you know how to navigate that market manipulation. And that is something that is not easy. It actually takes a long time to really be able to navigate this hobby, and then to also navigate market manipulation and just read through people's absolute bullshit they're feeding you. So, and then anyways, Kevin Clear said gatekeeping. Chief Keen said PSA has the cheapest slabs. Yeah, man, they've always had the cheapest slabs. Like, let me know down in the chat, have any of you guys ever broken a PSA slab? I've broken my share of PSA slabs. Okay, I'll tell you. I'll give you a good story. I had a slab and I dropped it and I broke it trying to get it prepared for shipping. Okay, and I was like, oh man, like, but it was okay. I had the exact same card graded, but a half grade higher. So I messaged the seller. I said, hey, listen, I was preparing your slab for shipping. I dropped it. I cracked it. I'm going to give you the same card, but a half grade higher. And then the guy responded back to me and he was like, yeah, no problem. Like, I appreciate it. He was like actually happier to get the same card in a half grade, but it wasn't the card that I had photoed. Getting the second card prepared for shipping, dropped that card too. Broke both of them. Didn't have any other cards to send to him. So now I had to send him another message on eBay saying, I also dropped your other card too. So I have dropped slabs and I look like an absolute idiot. So I was so mad. And then if you guys have ever dropped slabs, you know that that slab minus, talk about buying the card, not the grade. Once you crack a slab or break a slab, that slab goes from worth money to worth nothing. So Pokefresh said, also back to why I'm grading some cards with AGS is to get a pretty close scale just to see if any cards can be uncalib. Pokefresh, if you want to grade with any other grading card company, like you can do whatever you want. Just like, you know, keep in mind what I said about the prices, that you're not going to get the same price as you would for PSA. But if you time the market, maybe some of these lower grades, some of these modern cards that are not worth it financially to send the PSA, there could be people out there buying them. You know, a lot of these VMAX cards and stuff that right now graded, maybe you'll get, you know, you can probably pick up some VMAX cards maybe for like $2-3, get them slab, get a 10 for some no-name grading card company and get $20 for them. Like, if you can do stuff like that, who's better than you? So, but just keep in mind all the other stuff I said. Let's see. Dark Cosmos said, yeah, greed just needs to be authentic when it comes to pack grading. Yeah. Kevin Clare said, you think the JavaScript Minecraft thing could affect the card market? I don't know anything about that. Basic Trainer said, Poke Knowledge, congrats on your longest solo live. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. How the heck are you people even watching this? But you could do me a favor. Speaking of this live, I said it before, guys. I don't ever ask you guys for anything. All I ask for you is to just, you know, chat with me, because I do. I like to talk Pokemon, and I hope you guys like to talk Pokemon too. But if you can just hit the like button, like, it does so much for me. It does so much for the channel. And when you like the button and there's people engaging and talking, you know, by you hitting the like button, maybe this video will get sent out and recommended to somebody who's never heard about this channel before. So it really helps me out a lot. But if you guys don't want to hit the like button either, and you're just like, no, Poke Knowledge, I just watch this because I watch it out of spite because I hate you, you don't have to hit the like button. You can just secretly like this channel and not let anyone know. So Dark Cosmos said, I've dropped slabs, just nicked it a touch, not too bad. Had me freaked out, yeah. But yeah, guys. So can't believe this live went on for I think people don't understand that it's not as easy as it appears to just talk nonstop for 2 hours. And it's actually like a little bit harder, but I just, you know what, I like talking about Pokemon. I'm passionate about it. And really the reason why I do this mainly is because I enjoy just the conversation and talking in the chat. And if you guys have put any questions previous that I have missed and I, for whatever reason, didn't answer them, just do me a favor, go down below, rewrite the question, and I'll do my best to answer them. But yeah, so anyways, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you hitting the like button or not hitting the like button. But I think I'm going to go to bed now. What time is it? It's like 11:43 Eastern time. So, all right. Anyways, guys, I'll catch you on the next video.